Hello and welcome to your Friday night podcast here on Four Lads Had a Dream. My name's Andrew, joined tonight by two of my very favourite podders, Calvin and Andrew. Um, not a great deal to talk about tonight. We are going to get Calvin and Andrew's reactions to the Falkirk game, as substantial as those will be, and then a little talk about the season as a whole. We've got couple of little bits of news items, and then we figured we'd just open up to you guys. Any thoughts, questions, bits you want us to get into? We did talk about it beforehand, before we came on live. I don't know how much we're going to dive into the various tit for tat going back between the SFA / Celtic and Hearts, because, one's basically the same thing. Because ultimately, as much as we might like it to have done, it doesn't affect us. It's ultimately meaningless in terms of how our season went. So we're going to stick with us. But for now, Calvin, first of all, my friend, a very exciting game. It's a shame it meant bugger all in the grand scheme of things.
Typical training game it turned out to be, didn't it? When the pressure's off, they can pull some goals, but they also pull some howlers in. I think that's one of the big things to talk about, how even without any major pressure in the game, they still managed to make a mess of it. Simple thing, but it's been the story of the season. We tend to make our own mistakes rather than letting teams break us down or anything like that. It comes to us for our own lack of concentration. And just after Chimity scored potentially another goal of the season, Tekers, the technique on that, I was watching it through, obviously, when I was on holiday last week.
Yeah.
What about technique again? Is Chimity only scores worldies? It's kind of these kind of method, ain't it? Overhead kicks, volleys out of nowhere, little flicks. But that's the reality of it. We get those chances when most of the time it's too late for us, which is really annoying to say once again. But then you need to look at the things like Butland's howler. Like, it was like, wow. Like, there wasn't much in it. Nothing really to concentration. A simple ball back to his feet, skips into the net. It's not the first time it's happened. In fact, Jack's put us out the whole a lot this season with some massive saves. But at the same time, he's also had his own howlers, just like the rest of the squad. So it was just summed up the full season for me, that one. But big shout out to Curtis. Got a couple of goals for him to finish the season over at Kelly. So was that a mistake to let him go in January? It looks like it, but he definitely needed the game time. So it's a bit of toss and throw with that one. But that's my kind of take on it. Turned into a training game. We've seen some magic. We've seen some howlers about Rangers, kind of how we've been all year.
Yeah, no, I think that's right, Andrew. Seeing us still, despite the fact that neither team was really playing for anything, we still contrived to find a way to really self-sabotage ourselves. Just criminal actions from the goalkeeper to concede that first one, which happens, right? Like, every footballer's miscontrolled a ball at a time. It's just, if you're the goalkeeper, it tends to, have a fairly negative effect when it does happen. The penalty that we get against us, I still couldn't tell you if that was definitely a penalty or not. I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know. I think the camera that I've got right now is better quality than the ones that the VAR team are using. So, yeah, it's a difficult one, let's say. But yeah, as Calvin says, Andrew, I think it's quite symptomatic just of our season as a whole, where we can play some really good stuff at times when the pressure's off, but then just fail to have that killer instinct and learn how to shut the back door as well.
Yeah, it was our season in a microcosm, wasn't it? It's the best and worst of Rangers, 25-26. You could have did the season review video, like the official Rangers DVD when I got back in the day, just on Falkirk. Changed the hue on the colour hue on the jersey that we're playing against, and it could have been essentially every other game we played in the season. Moment of magic. Two, I think his first finish is good as well, Yusuf. I mean, that's 20 goal involvements in 30 league games this season, which 15-5, I think, is split. I know you'll say about this, it's the run-in where he really started to put the foot down, but if you want him to start hitting form, he's got Portugal duty under 21s to finish off his season, and then we'll hopefully get him back in for a proper pre-season under a manager that knows what he's doing. But that could start an argument in the comments, whether or not he knows what he's doing. But a manager that's going to back him, I think there's a lot of potential with him. I think he's finally found a place he's comfortable. I know the Everton debacle and how much money we spent on him and everything that came with that price tag. Definitely, you could see it hampering him the early stages of the season, but I think the lad's really kicked on, taking a lot of responsibility. You can see it even at the end of games. He is a 21-year-old in that team going away to the fans and apologising at Tynecastle and things like that. I mean, it was Mikey, who's a teenager, and Yusuf, who's only 21, in a team where you could have had other players that have done less than they two have, really holding their hands up. But I think he's maturing, and I think we can get the most out of him next season if he is one of the players that we keep, because I don't think anyone's really safe, so to speak. I mean, if offers are there, we'll take them. And he's probably on the higher end of what we can demand from teams at his age, his goal input, and the contract length. So whether it's maybe a Raskin, a Fernandez, or a Chermiti, and that kind of, I don't want to say and sound big-headed, but a double figures for a million on that price tag. I'd like to see us keep him around next season. I think if you can get Nadiri and Chermiti having, good seasons, then that'll give you a good chance in terms of the table. Because if you get two strikers that can put the ball in the net consistently, then you'll be in a good position. I mean, think of the 55 season. We had Morelos, Defoe, Eitan, and Kemar Roof. Talk about overkill. But they two could be a real good partnership, in my opinion.
I think it's worth let's stick with Yusuf Chermiti for now, because we've got a couple of questions from the crowds. Bluebells are blue, long-time supporter. Always appreciate your input, my friend. Points out that he scored all of his goals in about 6 or 7 games. Doesn't think how people think this lad is the future. But as Scott Kenny points out, he will be better next season because he has improved towards the end of this one. But we need a team that's better set up to support him, because there's been plenty of times this season, Andrew, where he has been isolated and left, just by himself. I don't think he's been well served by that. I don't think it's a mistake that some of his best form has come when he's had that shadow striker playing right next to him. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting one. He wouldn't be the top of my my list to be going, but I think you're right in that I don't think anyone's safe right now.
It's the difference of people playing football with you and playing football at you, I think, for Chermiti, because it was a lot of the times where, we're shelling it along to him. And I think he's shown that he can be the complete forward with the way he gets the ball under, his flick-ons. I mean, there's times where his flick-ons are brilliant if there's going to be somebody running off him, and if it's going to be, I don't know. And it's not me picking on him at all, but the way that Mikey Moore drifts about is sometimes more difficult to find those players when you're too busy focusing on the knockdown than somebody who is roaming about the park. It's difficult to always have a pinpoint on where they're going to be when there's so much fluidity in that front line. But I'm not saying he was superb the whole season, because we know that that wasn't the case. I mean, European campaign, I don't think he scored a goal in Europe and at all. So that's a big negative. But as a team in Europe, we were a disaster and a shambles. So again, you can only do as good as the team around him.
But when you think about Chermiti coming in, like, it was his first proper season, first team football, and he missed a lot for injury before it. It's something that needs to be considered, and it's something that I brought up a few months ago. But when you bring so much youth together, you aren't going to get consistency. And it was massive that we've seen it at different points out the season. They'll have sparks where they'll play really well, then they'll drift away for games. But it's something in general that we missed across the full squad. We had far too much lack of experience in just terms of games, involvements, chasing for titles, everything. There was too many players that just had never been in that cauldron before. And it's probably one of the biggest disaster that initial transfer window was. We brought in too many development players, and we've said it time and time again. When you have all these development players, you'll see good performances. You might never see them all have a good performance together as well, which has happened. You've seen players have a great, like Mikey Moore, taking teams on by himself. He shouldn't have to take teams on by himself. You should have that core of players that can perform week in, week out. We just didn't have that for the full season. And you've seen that with Chermiti. He was getting isolated a lot. But how many times did Chermiti miss a gilt-edged chance? That's what we talked about. He pulled out all these worldies, but a lot of just simple chances. I remember being up at Aberdeen away, and he ran through, and just hit it straight at the keeper. And it's one of those chances where you can just go right, left. Same happened at Motherwell in the first game of the split. But that's not kind of just down to him. He's a young football player. This is going to happen. But it was the build-up of the squad that really didn't help that. You didn't have those experienced heads just to like calm everything down, take the game by the scruff of the neck. There was too many of these players that needed that extra guidance, and we just didn't have that leadership and experience across the full team for the full season to help it out. Chermiti's done great in terms of big moments, but we need it for the full team for a much longer spell, and it's what it's cost us this season.
Yeah, it's either you need him to up his own game in terms of being able to deliver in all games and not just the big ones, or you have other players who are around him who can help contribute in those other games. Because the one thing you can say is that he wilted under pressure because he performed in some of our biggest games of the season. The problem was he wasn't able to deliver against the likes of Livingston, St Mirren, Motherwell even. So a frustrating player, but hey, it's Rangers. It wouldn't be us if we didn't have a frustrating striker.
It shouldn't be Chermiti. It has to deliver that all by himself. You should have
exactly.
these players that pull it out. There's a lot of strange things that happened in that squad, but
yeah,
they've got the youth players now have had that chance to experience a year at Rangers. For the ones that are still here next year, they know they're going to have to deliver for the very start. And I just hope we get this transfer window right to bring in those missing pieces of the jigsaw that can pull it all together.
Yeah. One of the big questions coming into this window was going to be who the manager was going to be. A lot of debate and argument about Danny Rowe. I'm going to dive into it. I'm just going to pull the Band-Aid off. But with Andrew Kavanagh coming out, nailing his colours to the mast, saying that Danny Rowe will be the manager next season, he's made the commitment. And I think that's basically what we were talking about, two pods ago, which was that if he is the manager next season, then he has to be backed. He has to be given the resources. You cannot do a Geo where a manager who has maybe gotten more out of a squad than it could have, that it showed that it could do on paper. Do you then reward that, or do you just go, well, we'll just give you like a tenner and see how you get on? If he's going to be the manager, then you have to back him. Personally, for me, I don't know if I would have kept him. I don't think I would have, ultimately, because I think that collapse that you see doesn't look good. But I always do come back to that point about the crap nature of the squad, Andrew. It's one of the worst squads that I've ever seen us have, and I've seen some belters over the years. So it's a difficult one, but he is staying. There's no argument about whether he's going to go. We can, maybe propose hypotheticals about what might be happening, say, in October. But for right now, as things stand, he is going to be the manager. He's going to be the one who's involved in those decisions coming up. So, yeah, that's where he's at. What was your take on that? I mean, good move, bad move in Andrew Kavanagh coming out and publicly backing him?
I think he had to. I think if they were going to decide that he was going to be the man in charge, then you had to hear it from the horse's mouth. I think you couldn't have silence from the board when there was so much, talk and all over social media. The pitchforks were coming out, and to not back him, I think, would have been a show of a sign of I don't know, maybe cowardice. I wouldn't say it's maybe as strong as that, but you were kind of hiding away from the mob, which was saying, no, it's not, this isn't right, we want him out. So to hide would have been poor. As we said, and as you said, a couple pods back, we've had this discussion. It can't be bargain bin signings. We're still in the same place we were the summer window previously, where the manager is going to have to build an entire squad for himself. The same issues that we had that Russell Martin was going to have to face, and bringing in his team, players that suit his system, and getting rid of the deadwood, are still here. Now, the only difference is you play the season, and I think this was the whole thing with the loans, is you never were going to be able to build, a one-season wonder for us, because it was going to be players going back. We've seen it. Nasser Jiga will be going back. Mikey Moore will be going back. Whether that's the case for the rest of the summer, who knows? But having like Derek Cornelius, Jaden Magoma, you had an entire back line, just on loan, and you can't have a long-term plan like that. You can, but it would have taken time and patience, but we don't have that, and Russell Martin has found out, and we're back to the start where Danny's going to have to figure out, after all his toiling about and picking the 4-2-2-2, I'm not going to call it by its name, Calvin, the 4-2-3-1, whatever we wanted to play as, he's got to nail down what his shape is and find players, recruit players to work through that system. So it's a massive, massive summer window ahead where players in for that system, but also getting rid of the deadwood again. The players like Danilo coming back from loan. I think the Nadim Barami experiment's finished. I think too hot and too cold. He can't be a part of this project long term. Your players coming back from like Ross McCausland. What do you do with him? Yeah, and even then, some of the guys you have signed permanently aren't cutting the mustard as well. So lots of outgoings, lots of incomings. It could be, swinging doors and all that kind of stuff. But God knows, it's going to be a busy summer. I hope, because it's going to need to be a busy summer.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kavanagh was quite clever, Calvin, when he talked about, in that interview. Didn't like to use the phrase backed, but I think he did recognize that there was a problem with the squad, that the balance wasn't quite right, that there needed to be an injection of, a different style of player. Not necessarily, we got to spend loads of money, but more we need to find the right type of player, finding the right leadership, finding the right balance. You can question what was up with the squad previously and which players should have been providing leadership. But that's the past. We're looking to the future. One thing we do know is that we will be getting Finlay Curtis back, who has been well rewarded for an excellent loan spell by being called up for the Scotland squad. I think, as Kelso points out, I don't think if he's with us and if he's not playing that he gets that call up. I think because he's had that experience at Killy, where he's taken the initiative, where he's gone on and been a game changer, that he has been called up. It's not like Scotland have got a lot of attacking prowess to point at right now. So he's a good option, and I think he's going to be a really important player for us next season. I don't want to see him going back out on loan. I think he was on the edge when he was sent out, but certainly right now, I think he should be here and staking a claim for a first team spot.
Yeah, and that was kind of the point I was making earlier. I know kind of Kelso and Scott picked it up as well, that we knew he had that ability. We watched him do it the first half of the season. We watched him score goals. We watched him drive at teams. We watched him create chances. And what we brought in wasn't any better. And even what we kind of left out with probably Moore, they didn't get any more goals and opportunities as. Even Moore probably didn't get as many goals and assists as what he did in the second half of the season. So that was the point I was getting at. We overlooked our own youth to bring in players who we all thought was going to change the world for us. It didn't work out. Mm-hmm. But that's something that we probably need to look at better in the future. These young lads are kind of built into the ethos of what Rangers is. We need to have that pathway for them. So guys like Finlay Curtis took his chance. He scored in Europe, he scored in the Cup, he scored in the league, he created chances, and he was still shipped out when we knew what we had in front of us just because he wasn't a fancy European name, essentially. Sometimes we need to gamble on that, and that was the point I was making earlier about, did we make the mistake of letting him go? Well, it was proven that we did, because he did better than what was on our books at the time. Would he have made a difference? Listen, I'm not going to say he was going to win his league or anything like that, but he did have the ability to contribute in that squad in times where there was long periods where certain players weren't, and that's what I was trying to get out. Finlay Curtis deserved to have his chance in that team. What he's done at Kelly's brilliant, and I'm really happy for the lad, but I wish he had something that was that part of our second half of the season to deliver it as well, and that's the point I was getting at. We miss these opportunities with players and letting them out on loan. And sometimes when we let them out on loan, they don't have that kind of performance that Curtis does, because they go to a team that's struggling, they don't get to show off their attacking intent, whereas they maybe would have more at a team like us where we're on the front foot. That's what I was meaning in the first comment earlier in the pod, but can't wait to have him back in, because he's definitely got the ability to make a difference, and we can all see it now.
Yeah, and I think, Andrew, on paper, I absolutely get it. Andreas Skov-Olsen's coming in as a right winger. Yeah, of course. If he comes in and delivers even half of what he used to, then he'll definitely be a better option at right wing than Finlay Curtis. But the truth of the matter was that Skov-Olsen never really delivered on any of the promises when he came in. I can think of maybe one decent assist in one match, and that's a pretty poor return, especially for someone you're asking for 9 million quid for to come on loan permanently. I think, unsurprisingly, Rangers aren't going to take that up. But on paper, I absolutely get it. It's just, as Calvin says, with hindsight being what it is, you'd 100% just go, we should have kept Finley instead. But you never can tell with these things. And, you flip a coin and Skovolson comes in and absolutely tears it up, then it's a completely different story. But we don't live in that universe, unfortunately.
I think it's just another, sign that these players need game time. I mean, with Finlay Curtis, you're seeing it with Josh McPake now. He's got his move to Hearts after, taking that kind of leaving Rangers on the chin. He takes a contract at St Johnstone. He does so well there. A guy that had the Academy Player of the Year for Rangers. I mean, I watched a lot of him playing in the B team and things like that, and it was great. He looked leagues above where he was playing. If you want to take into account that the B team were playing Challenge Cup games against Stenhouse Muir and Stirling Albion, if you can get players that have got that dig to go into a championship team, in his case, a team who were relegated to the championship from the Premiership and were wanting to get back. Similar to, and I know it's a shame in my opinion, the Leon King saga, going into a team where you're going to get game time. Say what you want about the two coaches, Scott Brown and Stephen Whittaker, but two guys that have lived and breathed going from being a youth player with talent to being a starter for seasons and seasons and seasons, making it in the Scottish game through academies. It was a great environment for him to go into, and he wrapped up 4 Player of the Year awards, Young Player, Players Player, and I think 2 Sponsors Players. And there's a lot of talk about him and his next move, even if the Heart's been thrown about, teams down south. I wish him all the best, because definitely he needed a detox after everything that can happen with Rangers. So if he's going to maybe take the next steps in his career, then good luck to him. But yeah, another one if you can find the right environment for these guys to go to teams, have that confidence in yourself to get away from the training centre for a while and go to a team where you're learning from different people, new teammates, it's only going to do you good. I think the Curtis move will do wonders for other players that will end up in his position, because it is going to happen. There's going to be those guys that are just about there, and we overhype players as we always do. So, getting just that opportunity to silence that noise, go and play football, because that's going to be the most important thing for these guys.
Yeah, it's always going to be a difficult one, because you don't know necessarily until they're in that environment. It's much the same as signing players as well. You have no idea when you sign a player. They can be fantastic on paper, shite on grass. So it's always a risk. But I would like to see more of a pathway for the youth prospects. I think Curtis, if he does come back in, if he does take a place in the first team, then that demonstrates that there is a pathway through, that you can go out on loan, come back, and really establish yourself. The one that you'd always go back to would be Alan McGregor, because he's absolutely a prototypical, went out on loan, came back, and became the first choice for maybe a season or two longer than he should have, really. But nonetheless, was still someone who benefited from all those loan spells. So it's interesting. On Leon King, Andrew, I think absolutely, playing alongside James Sands up against prime Liverpool offense, maybe not a good baptism of fire.
Dark times.
Yeah.
Still does me nightmares. That night.
Like, one of the few games that I'd watched in the pub with my dad, out for a European night, and I remember going for a wee and coming back, and we'd conceded another 2 goals and just being in shock about what was happening. It was
see, if we pitch invaded at 1-0, do you think we would have got 3 points?
Well, it depends if the referee does like
it's
that.
European refs, isn't it? Oh, that was Europe.
Yeah.
It was in Europe.
Said we weren't going to bring that up, guys.
We're just talking about a hypothetical situation. It's got nothing to do with that, right?
It's UEFA refs. They're good referees. They would have did their job.
Who can say? I mean, match audio and whatnot. Anyway, we're not talking about that, are we? We're being good. We're being clever-ish. Yeah. We are where we are. I think it's definitely going to be interesting one thing that has been positive is that despite our feelings on some of these players, they are still performing at a good level. Thelo Asgard's been called up for Norway duty, which is a reflection, I guess, on how good he's been for Norway, because I don't think he's demonstrated consistently good performances with us. But again, while we might consider some of these players to be absolute toilet water, they're clearly demonstrating something, Calvin, that means they're getting called up for the national teams. And I think the World Cup's going to be an interesting showcase. Nico Raskin in particular is going to be one that I think will have a lot of attention on him. Thelo Asgard maybe less so, but still, it's going to be an interesting showcase for some of these guys to see what they can do.
The only bit I'm laughing at, I'm raging you didn't go into the Asgard topic earlier when you talked about shitting on grass, because that was the perfect one to go for the Alsatian joke. Big shout out.
Sometimes when you see it there, you just
and you failed. It'll be
you just have to leave it sometimes.
It's such a good opportunity. But let's get back to topics. In terms of Asgard, I think we've all said throughout the season, he's a player with ability. He's shown ability at different stages, but sometimes the environment in the league you play in maybe doesn't suit it. Because we've seen he can score goals, he can create. He's just maybe not got that awareness that can come. It can come down the line where you're not getting any time in the ball. And that's the big thing I noticed with Asgard. When he gets the chance in the ball, he doesn't anticipate somebody's going to become straight on him. And it's something that you miss from down south. You've seen players come up time and time again with the struggle with the tempo of the game. Scottish football is mental. Let's be honest about it. Everything that happened, even if you take away things that have happened this season, just in comparison to what you play in the park, especially at Rangers, you know, every player, every team that you go against is fighting for their life against you. It's their cup final every single day of the week. And sometimes these players just don't anticipate that when they come up. And I was buzzing when they come up. We've got a Scouse Viking. When do you ever get a Scouse Viking? You know what I mean? Like, that's amazing. Like, you've got a Scouser who plays for Norway. That's unreal. But did it work? No, because he had the heart of a mouse. Or as I like to say, a shit in Alsatian. So he's got the ability. He's got the kind of attributes to play, but he just misses that kind of anticipation, time in the ball, and demand of playing for Rangers. And we thought maybe halfway through the season, he did that interview about, I really do understand what it's like for playing for this club, but never really changed. They got the free kick against Annan, the goal the other week as well. It still wasn't enough. Well, it wasn't enough. That's a comment there. That's a good one. Did he ever have that interest in being a success at Rangers? Because he didn't bust through walls like we really need players to do. And when the going get tough, he did tend to disappear too many times. But that doesn't, when he goes back down south probably, or goes into another European situation, he gets more time to show off his attributes. Sometimes players just aren't made for the league that we play in. And I think that was the massive thing at the start of the season. Too many players had no idea what they were walking into. And that was the same with Elwell doing the recruitment. He didn't know what he was walking into. And I think that's where we're let down a lot of the situations.
See, the thing about Asgard, can I just jump in? The thing about Asgard is the similarities to one of the names that's been thrown about in the comments tonight is Joe Aribo. I mean, Joe Aribo, the best he did in the league campaign, goals-wise for Rangers, was 8 goals. Tello had 7 this season for Rangers. I mean, what was the main things we'd said about Aribo in those teams? He's good, but you need everybody around him to be on it, because you knew he was going to have a lazy 10, 15 minutes here or there in a game. He was never a 90 minutes player, Joe Aribo. But with the amount of quality we had around him, you know, Kamara's, Ryan Jacks behind him, they're working their arse off to cover ground. As well. Stephen Davis, 100%.
I still thought Aribo worked harder. Like, he didn't maybe show at all times, but I thought
he was a silent worker. I think he always got branded as lazy.
He did something to run him when he was up front as well. I think it's very underestimated that he picks up great positions, whereas I think Asgard drops out of the game too much. Aribo, you'll notice him when he's doing his best work, but I think Aribo, like, what he was so good at was he still put players under pressure, but that could come down to the system he's played, because he was expected to play in that position with Gerrard, where he sat on the right-hand side a lot, and he was asked to push up with the striker. Asgard's been asked to play a very different role, but I think I get your comparison there, but I still think there was a lot of differences in what they were delivering for the team.
And I think to your point as well, Calvin, the other factor is going to be, can I rely on the guys behind me? You know, if I've got Nico Raskin and Diamandi there, they are not Glenn Kamara and Brian Jack or Stephen Davis, you know. It's always going to be tricky to pick that up.
Yeah, definitely. You need to go, Andrew. You can go. It was your point. No, it's your point. You go for it.
I think there's another gear for Tello to find
Yeah.
at Rangers. There definitely is, and as you said, Calvin, it's about just that reacting to the time you get here compared to the time you get at Luton or Wigan. I think I need one of his best seasons at Wigan, where he was, I think, double digits for goals. He's definitely got that when he has the time to line up a shot, make a killer pass. He does it, and you can see that in his game. It's just, and I go back to one of my favourite things to coin throughout the season was these kind of players are on the Ajaria to Aribo scale.
Yeah.
Whereas there's the Ajaria has all the ability in the world, it just couldn't get the you need to be quicker son part of the game, and it didn't work. Whereas Aribo had that, it's a lot quicker, and then got his game to that. Okay, I need to then dish it, or I need to drop a shoulder quicker, I need to get my head up before I get the ball. And you can learn. And I'm not saying Aribo wasn't a success at Rangers. I love Joe Aribo. I think Tello can find that in his game. I think you've seen it as the season went on, because at the start of the season there wasn't a real tough period for him, and he wasn't anywhere near as good as I hoped he would be. But in games, towards the end of the season, he did slowly start to get more involved in the physical side, drawing fouls, tracking back. Still a part of his game I think he can do more in, but in the kind of neutral part of the pitch, he was digging in a wee bit more, which he needs to do more consistently. But even just as we've said, if you can get players even slightly closer on the scale to what we had with the Rebo, Jack, Davis, Kamara kind of setup, where you've got more dig and more energy around them, then it can be a success. Well, maybe I would need to buy a Norway top. I really do like their top, and the font on the back of it's really cool. I was looking at it during the announcement video for.
It's
for
not going to be
Norway.
bad colours either, So
the red, white, and blue, yeah.
Just get the Tor Andrew floor ripped off and just get Asgard put on, could you know?
Yeah.
Or Herenberg, or Ostenstad.
Now we're talking.
I think like
football players, I don't have a lot of them to talk about.
I think the big problem Asgard was, like we were all hyped up so much about the start of the season when you had like say Halliday telling us for all the interviews, this boy's the real deal. Every player says he's the best in training, and then we watched him for a few games and we went, is that it?
Yeah.
But to be fair, everybody in that spell under Russell Martin, we all went, is that it? So maybe he just needs time, but I think he did start showing a bit more work effort. It's just a hard one to jump in when you've seen so many disappointing things over the season. And you know at Rangers, your mind's made up in the first pass.
Of course.
Like,
Yeah.
Out of that. And
15 minutes if you're lucky, and then final decision's been made.
For me, it's always the third touch.
Yeah.
If they mess up the third touch, I'm raging.
No, you'll never make it, son. That's it. You're out.
Rangers. That's how I sit in the stands.
Yeah. Our final bit of news that I want to get to tonight before I grab a couple more questions from the audience. Liam Kelly announced for a new 2-year deal. I think it's a smart move. Scottish trained player, club trained player as well. So ticks some boxes for the European squad, and he's always been a solid keeper for us. I don't think you can underestimate the experience he's had at other clubs as well. He's captain the team that he was at previously. He has, had good experience in the Scottish League, not just playing for Rangers, but playing for other teams within this league as well. So I think that experience is invaluable. Maybe it's a sign of things to come in terms of the type of player that we're looking to sign. Maybe not something quite as flashy, Calvin, but, Scottish experience, which is something I think we are severely in need of in this squad right now.
Yeah, it's massive. Like Liam Kelly, he never really lets us down when he's asked upon. He's put in some really big performance for us. We've seen him. He's performed at Motherwell. He's performed at Livingston before he came to us. And he's certainly got a bit of personality. Like, we've seen a lot of content from him. He's definitely got personality. And it's something we just drastically need more of. Like, our homegrown quota is shocking.
Yeah.
Like, when we look at the squads coming in, it's a simple thing for me. If Liam Kelly's got to be your backup goalie, he's steady, he's gets you enough performance you need it. You can put him in the cup games. If he had to come in the league, he would do his turn. He played in European football for us not that long ago as well. He's safe hands, and he's somebody that a lot of other keepers can benefit from being around as well, I think. So for me, it was a simple decision. The wages will probably be in a good position. Keep him in. Imagine trying to replace that. If you go back to Norwich, we've got to bring back Robbie McCrory. We're probably not, since he disappeared over to Finland and things like that when he went to Kelly. it's a simple decision for me. Liam Kelly's a very good, dependable goalie with a great personality, and he fits the Rangers quota. We need more of it. We need more of it quickly. So when we get a 25-man squad, we aren't registering 19. And that's the big thing for me. I can see Andrew thinking, on you go, my man.
Calvin hit the post on the nation in which Robbie McCrory went to. You hit everywhere in Scandinavia but Denmark, and that's where it is.
It's all fucking
close.
Nordic shit up there, isn't it?
Yeah, close enough. I mean, yeah. He's going back to
I
Kelly.
see him catching a pint at the side of the park, so it does get really matters.
Yeah, watch. Mark the words here. He's going
Is
back
it coming
to Kelly
back?
next season. Well, under Neil McCann, if there's going to be a manager that can get the most out of Robbie McCrory, then it would probably be Neil
did
McCann.
A few good performances for us.
Yeah, well,
fell off the radar when he left again.
He's still not a patch on his brother in goals. I'm just saying.
Clean sheet McCrory. That's what we like to call him.
Exactly.
Well, is he
unbeaten in old firms when he's been playing in goal.
You never know if Ross is coming back. I mean, I think we've played the who else is coming back card. We've had Aribo, we've had Kent in the comments tonight. Vladimir Weiss, is he coming back this summer? Is he going to make it?
Now we're talking.
Again, you're just talking guys that were in relatively decent, good Rangers teams that I really don't have a lot of memory of. Cheers, guys. Thanks for that.
That's all right. As Bluebells points out, Danilo's coming back as well.
We paid £6 million. £6 million.
But his dad.
Oh my god!
Exactly. His dad by himself is worth at least 3 points just in my heart. Yeah, true.
It hurts my head. We gave Gio like no money, but we gave Michael Beale £6 million to bring in Danilo.
Oh, if it stopped at that, that'd be fine.
If it was just $6 million, we would have probably forgave a lot easier. There was a lot more involved in that for all those deals.
Quite. And oh no, I've accidentally put this comment up. Oh no, let's quickly get rid of that. Hang on, let me rush to get rid of this one. Oh jeez. Oh no. Fuck. Oh no.
There's 10, 20.
Wait, hang on. Have I got it? Oh no, damn, I just clicked the wrong button. Oh shoot. Oh rats.
It's taking you more time to get that off the screen than it took Beaton to figure out if that was a penalty at Fir Park.
There's another one.
Another one.
Anyway, we said we weren't going to talk about it. So we've not. We've been very careful to not talk about it, whatever it is. Who can say?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Which must not be named.
Folks, always a pleasure to talk to you. I don't know what we're going to be getting up to in the off season. We've really scraped the barrel to find stuff to talk about. It's Rangers. There's always going to be some news, but
more hat reviews definitely needs to be part of the summer.
I've got plenty in there. I know I've got the Beer Fest one out again today, but it's always good to have a bottle opener.
I was this close to bringing out the flamingo bucket hat that I took to the Elite League playoffs. But it's in the
look, if we've got nothing else, then we'll just go through hats next Friday. Or we might just do another Q&A as well. But it's always a pleasure to jump on, lads. Particularly with my two Hat brothers. Always happy to be joined by you. So, first of all, Calvin, thank you so very much. Appreciate you, mate.
Thanks so much. I did promise the guys at the Shots Prison today that they were doing a charity event for Beatson's Cancer, and they smashed it. So, big shout out to them. They've raised a lot of money, and a really good bunch of guys. So, thanks very much, and thanks for having me up today to help them out.
Yeah. I wasn't going to ask about your, stay in prison today, Calvin. I thought it'd be polite, but
charity is always a big place for me. So.
Absolutely, man. And Andrew, my friend, always appreciate you as well. Thank you very much.
Calvin doing his saint to match his sinner of the last few weeks in his holidays. He's back to a net zero overall.
5 weeks, and then you can say that statement because I've not been away.
In there, you're away. We all know it. In there, you're on the decks somewhere in the sun. Somewhere in the sun, you're on the decks. But thanks for having me on again tonight, lads. I need to have a look at the hat collection for next week. That's my homework for the pod.
all new hats next week. That should be the rule. We can't use one we've used before.
No, fair. That's fair. Definitely have a new one on deck for that one next week. Folks, a pleasure as always. Thank you all for giving up what I'm sure is a lovely sunny Friday for everyone. We'll let you go. We'll let you get back out and get out in that weather because it looks gorgeous. It's bank holiday weekend. Very exciting stuff. So go forth and enjoy that. Have a lovely weekend. Don't try and let any football ruin it. Whatever happens will happen. We'll deal with it as it comes. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Run Express, Clyde Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, CSD Air Conditioning, Candide, and RIDC, along with our partners Black Rooster and Art of Gold. It's been a while since I've done the spiel. I just need to keep my ear in just to keep it going. Folks, thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure. We will see you again, but until we do, folks, bye for now.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.